listening to the Video Game and Nerd Trivia Podcast with Tony D. Video Game and Nerd Trivia Podcast, your episodic dose of trivia covering all things video games and nerdy. Now, here's your host, Tony D.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Video Game and Nerd Trivia Podcast. Today we're going to be going over Mandela Effects. So again, Mandela Effects, they are named after Nelson Mandela, in which at one point when he was still alive, people thought that he was dead. Half the people thought that he was dead, while the other half remember that he's still alive. And it's just the idea that there's a collective memory deficit of a certain event or certain thing. So on today's episode, we're going to do 3 rounds of trivia of 10 questions each on Mandela Effects and see if you know them. If not, then maybe you'll learn something. Again, how it works is I'll ask you a question, give you 5 seconds of silence, and then give you the answer. Round 1, question 1. How do you spell Chick-fil-A? So it's Chickfila. I could have sworn that there was no C before the K, but there is. Question 2. The kids' book about a family of bears had a surname, Berenstain Bears. So was it S-T-E-I-N or S-T-A-I-N? So I know growing up I had trouble pronouncing their names because of the E, but apparently it was never an E, it was an A, which is really weird to me because I thought it was an E the whole time. If it was an A, I would have no issues pronouncing their name. But yeah, the answer is it's spelled with S-T-A-I-N. Question 3. What is the name of the peanut butter in a red cap container with a label colored red, blue, and green? This is Jif, so J-I-F. It's not Jiffy. I think people are mixing it up because there is another peanut butter named Skippy, and then Jif, they kind of rhyme, they combine it to be Jiffy. Question 4. How do you spell Looney Tunes? So it's spelled L-O-O-N-E-Y-T-U-N-E-S. I always thought it was a cartoon like T-O-O-N, but it's actually T-U-N-E, like music. Question 5. Did Curious George have a tail? No, he did not. Question 6. What is the name of the show about 4 women in a metropolitan area where one of the main actors was Sarah Jessica Parker? So this is Sex and the City, not in the city. Question 7. How do you spell Febreze? So that's F-E-B-R-E-Z-E. You would have thought it was 2 E's in a row, but it's not. It's just F-E-B-R-E-Z-E. Question 8. Everyone knows the jingle, but do you know the spelling? How do you spell Oscar Mayer? So Oscar Mayer is spelled O-S-C-A-R-M-A-Y-E-R. Question 9. Popular shoe brand Skechers was a staple in the cool kid scene. How do you spell Skechers? This is S-K-E-C-H-E-R-S. So there's no T in it. So some people may think it's S-K-E-T-C-H-E-R-S, but it's actually just S-K-E-C-H-E-R-S. And question 10. Fruit Loops was a household cereal brand that kids loved till this day, probably because it's so colorful and sugary. But how do you spell Fruit Loops? It is spelled F-R-O-O-T-L-O-O-P-S. I totally did not notice this my entire lifetime that fruit was spelled F-R-O-O-T and not actually F-R-U-I-T in this cereal. Alright, round 2. Question 1. Does the Monopoly Man wear a monocle? No, he does not wear a monocle. Probably confused it with the Pringles guy. And fun fact, Pringles mascot's named Mr. P, aka Julius Pringles. I might ask that again in the future quiz on mascots. Question 12. Star of the Pokemon TV show and also Pokemon Yellow video game, Pikachu was known all around the world. But do you remember what color his tail was? Specifically, did it have a black tip or did it not? So it was just a yellow tail, kind of like brown base, but no black tip at all. It's just fully yellow. Question 3. Give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Do you remember if there's a hyphen between Kit and Kat? No, there is no hyphen. Question 4. What is the name of the square yellow toasted cheese cracker snacks? These are Cheez-It. It's singular, Cheez-It. There's no S at the end or Z at the end, just Cheez-It. I could have sworn it was Cheez-Its, but it's not. Question 5. I always thought cornucopias had a funny name. Usually they carry fruit during a Thanksgiving dinner. Did the fruit of the Loom logo have a cornucopia? I could have sworn it did, but it did not. Question 6. When Oreo doubled up the cream inside the cookies, they called it double stuff. How did you spell double stuff? So this was D-O-U-B-L-E, and then stuff is spelled S-T-U-F, just one F. Question 7, true or false? In the original Star Wars trilogy, when C-3PO was finalized, he had one silver leg. This is true, he actually had part of his leg silver and it's not fully gold. For some reason, people, and me included, thought that he was fully gold, but he's not. Number 8. What exactly did Darth Vader say when he revealed his parentage to Luke? He said, "No, I am your father." So it's weird. Everyone quotes it as Luke, "I am your father," but it's not. In the original trilogy, what he said was, "No, I am your father." Question 9. What exactly did the main character say in a Jaws movie regarding the size of the water vehicle they were in? He said, "You're going to need a bigger boat." He didn't say we're going to need a bigger boat, he said you are. So that's interesting because I always thought it was we are as well. And question 10. Forrest Gump loves his mama and what she said about life. What was the famous quote from the movie regarding life and candy? He said, "Life was like a box of chocolates." Not life is, but life was like a box of chocolates. Alright, let's head into the last round, last 10 questions here. Hopefully you're having fun with these. Question 1. The evil queen loves to ask her mirror about who's the most beautiful being. What were her exact words? She says, "Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?" It's interesting because I could have sworn it was mirror mirror, but no, it's magic mirror on the wall. Question 2. Many folks dress up for Halloween as Tom Cruise in his famous scene from Risky Business. One detail is always conflicting. Does he wear sunglasses? So in that specific scene of him dancing at home, no, he does not wear any sunglasses. But if you look at all the costumes that people wear for Halloween, They always wear those sunglasses. Question 3. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood had Fred Rogers walking into his home singing the greeting theme. What was the opening line of that song? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. It's not the neighborhood, it's this neighborhood. Question 4. True or false? Sinbad starred as a genie in a 90s movie called Shazam. False. This never happened, and he actually made a parody of it a few years ago because it was way too common of a Mandela effect. Question 5. Who uttered the famous phrase, "Only you can prevent forest fires"? So this is Smokey Bear. It's not Smokey the Bear, it's just Smokey Bear. Question 6. When did Leonardo DiCaprio get his first Oscar? This is 2016. Many people think he received it earlier on, but he never did. He was nominated many times though. Question 7. Does Mickey Mouse have a tail? Yes, Mickey Mouse has a tail. In the original illustrations it's clearer, but you can still see his tail as recent as Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Question 8. In Field of Dreams, an iconic line was spoken regarding how creating a venue will result in people attending it. What was that phrase? The phrase is, "If you build it, he will come." Not they. Everyone says it's "if you build it, they will come," but if you go back to that movie, it's actually "if you build it, he will come." Question 9. True or false? In Star Trek, Captain Kirk requested to get teleported back to the ship by saying, "Beam me up, Scotty." It's funny, this one's false, similar to the whole Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader thing. Everyone keeps quoting this one wrong. The closest we ever got to this was when Captain Kirk said, "Scott, beam us up." But he never exactly said, "Beam me up, Scotty." And finally, question 10. Finish the lyrics. I'm a Barbie girl. And to finish the lyrics, it's "in the Barbie world." I personally could have sworn it was "in a Barbie world," whereas I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, but it's actually I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Hope you had fun with this quiz. I had a lot of fun writing it and also learned a lot of things too about how bad my memory is. But yeah, it's not just me because these are considered Mandela effects and many people had the same false memory. If you like our show, rate us on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere you listen to this podcast. It will help out with others to discover this show and see if they like it themselves. You can tag us on Twitter at VGNT Podcast or on Instagram at VGNT Podcast 1. It's weird now, you can't really DM us on Twitter because they changed that. So the best way is just tag us and I'll hopefully see the notification. And until next time, trivia on.